right, Moonshot Dispatch. We're back for the 22nd of July. Usual suspects here along. Nick being the only suspect, actually, as it turns out. Probably should have thought that one through.
What am I suspected of?
You can wait till the charges are filed.
Okay.
All right, so we have not been around for the last couple of weeks. Mostly, I'm going to blame my children because it's been school holidays, which means that we have not been around. Or actually, we have been around, just in spirit, but not physically around because we've had to juggle everything. So well done to all the parents who've made it through the school holidays. Hope you're as excited to me as to get the kids back into school.
That's modern living, huh? Not my parents' day. It would never be like this. Anyway.
I don't know how to... It's just... How's school holidays for you, Nick?
I actually brought one of my children into the office a few times, so that's kind of how we made it work. But it's good to have them back, and I think they actually are probably not unhappy to be back as well.
Who's sick of who? Kids sick of you, or you're sick of them? Which one?
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Like when I told Rory, my oldest actually, that we're coming back here yesterday for the final day, pupil-free day. She was like, oh, okay. She's very good about it, but no.
My kids were pumped to get back. That's not true. I think I was just projecting their excitement because I was happy.
Yeah.
I think they were actually probably unhappy.
Finally, Dad's happy again. Everyone.
So anyway, crypto, what's been happening?
I have no idea. I've been looking after kids.
I know. So that's a wrap then.
Yep.
Well, actually, okay, so we jump straight into it. Last time we chatted, you were telling us alt season was never going to happen again, but here we are, alt season is on.
Yeah.
Everything is pumping. ETH is up another 25%. We knew that already because you were talking up ETH bags, so we knew that's why I had to pump. But XRP is also up. Sol, Doge, ADA, all 20% plus.
Yeah, so and I've noticed you very specifically targeted some cryptos there to tell me which ones are up. In my, if you were listening last time, I didn't say, my point was about alt season. If you sort of historically look at it, alt season meant everything went up. Like everything just caught a bid. It was just this amazing time to be alive. Everyone was the best trader in the world.
Throw a dart at the board and
exactly,
you won.
Yeah. Everyone was staring in the mirror going, it's not the market, it's you. You're the best trader. Anyway, that was kind of my point. And what seems to have happened is, everything... all the major alts have caught a bid. Everything that sort of exists already on the centralized exchanges has found an easy bid because it's easy for retail to buy.
Yep.
But all the other alts, they're just doing their thing. They're some are up, some are down, some are unchanged. It's not this classic alt season that we dream about.
Yep.
Unfortunately, but no, it's amazing. Like everything's looking good. It's all the big ones you look at are looking so good right now.
Regular listeners will know that my own bags are still down, perhaps never to return, which was a Nick tip, by the way. But I'm not bitter at all.
Sorry, just to be clear for everyone, he's not saying his own bags, which are also down, I'm sure, but he's saying his ohm bags, OHM, which was like a Ponzi from the 2021 series.
I was caught napping, such is life. All right, first let's jump into it because we can talk about how bad my bags are down for the entire episode, but we do need to get through the news. So the first news seems to be a lot of stuff coming out around the ETH Treasury idea getting a bid. Ether Machine, Sharplink, and Bitmine, all adding Solana actually. They're adding. Sorry, man. See, school holidays. Don't blame me, man. It's just this is what happens. You deal with children.
This can't be right. Oh.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. So ETH has been picked up by firms including Ether Machine, Sharplink, and Bitmine, and DeFi Dev Corp has added Solana. There we go.
Yeah,
I got it out in the end.
Good.
So we're seeing actually a take up in treasury companies just across the board here.
Yeah, and I mean, this is sort of, they're just using the Sailor playbook, right? The MicroStrategy playbook where you buy the asset and then you issue new debt in your shares, get the market to buy it up, and with that money you buy more of the asset, i.e. in this case Ethereum. Worked really well for Sailor. It's working really well for MetaPlanet, or MetaPlanet as my wife keeps telling me. And so everyone's trying to do the same thing with Ethereum, including, to my surprise, all these like sort of previously Bitcoin only companies are going, we've maybe we've missed the Bitcoin sort of tied. Now let's try. We have to try with the next best thing, which
You
is
reckon?
obviously Ethereum.
Yeah.
I found that interesting. I guess my favorite quote from this one is actually his name Andrew Keys, I think, the guy who's doing that Ether machine or Ethereum machine, whatever it was called. And he says, people were talking to him about Bitcoin, so he is quoted as saying he doesn't own a single Bitcoin. He's all in ETH. And he says it's like why wouldn't you own an iPhone if you had a landline, why wouldn't you want to own an iPhone? And I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I don't think that analogy is true, but it's a cool way to put it.
Yeah. So we're going to see more of this, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I'm hearing a lot of people trying to call the ETH top at the moment, and maybe
ETH top, aren't we just back to the top previously?
Yeah, definitely local top. We're like 23% under the all-time high. So yeah, we're not even close to the all-time high. We're just talking local top. It's been so long. This might as well be the all-time high.
Diminishing tops.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not for the ETH gang. But yeah, seeing a lot of people sort of deciding this is too high. I know, like the RSI, so relative strength index for Ethereum is at 90 now. So this is like an index between 0 and 100. And if you go anywhere above 70, this means you're sort of in an overbought territory. And so we're at 90 for Ethereum right now, and it's kind of like just like a moving average, I suppose you can think about it like an index for a moving average as a rough idea of how it works. So 90 is really high. Does it keep going? I mean, XRP hit 90 a couple of weeks ago, and it paused. It didn't really dump, but it paused for a little bit, and then it just continued to add another 50% to its price. In the following weeks, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but yeah, we'll see. It's risen so quickly,
it has.
and for such a for the second biggest market cap asset to rise to gain 20% in 2 weeks or whatever it is, 60% in the last month or something. That's just crazy.
Yeah, what's generating that interest?
Well, it's all the things you've just been speaking about, Oopsie. So all these treasury companies are really piling in. We'll talk about the ETFs in a bit, but the ETFs are obviously massive contributors as well. And it just seems to be everyone's riding this train at the moment, and it's working. The price is doing what they hope it to do. It depends on how the long-term play goes, I guess.
Gotcha. All right, moving along then. So the Cointelegraph is reporting reporting news about Tether freezing more wallets as stablecoin controls controlling the wallets. Stuff that up again. So Tether froze 85,877 USDT linked to stolen funds. So I guess the question is here. The whole stablecoin debate, the whole anti-CBDC thing was, participate in this decentralized money network, which is uncensorable and unblockable. But here we are seeing Tether freeze stuff. I get it that they're freezing stolen funds, but how does it sit with you, and what's the news here?
Yeah, I guess this isn't actually new news. So Tether have always had the ability to freeze funds. So does USDC. So does most of these kind of centralized companies that issue stable coins. They've usually got something in the smart contract that allows them to freeze funds because, in the end, they need to show that they've got control of it, I guess. To the downside of this is obviously, the participants in this market have got to realize that, technically they could just get their funds taken at any time. While they are the bearer of these, it's a bearer instrument in that, you can hold it in your own non-custodial wallet. They can block your address basically, and suddenly the contract won't allow you to spend your money. And so it's essentially useless. And this is not new. This is how it's always been. I guess this news is, Tether have kind of done a few things and people have noticed. It is a concern, but I don't know, it makes sense to me that when you're doing this, when you're building a company like this, you're going to put something like that in there. And then it just comes down to the governance internally of how strong you are and how good you are at making sure that bad actors don't abuse that power. And this is a classic case of government, right? A classic case of any kind of centralized organization. You've got to make sure that corruption doesn't set in, that there's no sort of bad stuff happening. Yeah, I think it is what it is. I don't love it, but I understand.
It seems to go a little bit against the whole ethos of decentralization. And
yeah, it does. And the thing is, even if we go to Bitcoin, arguably the most decentralized thing out there, what is it? like can anyone block your transaction? Well, yeah, they can. Like miners can censor your stuff, and there's historical precedents of this happening, where miners were like there was, what was it called, I can't remember. There was a mining pool that did this, that censored transactions, and their claim was they were censoring OFAC sort of transactions that were on the banned list, basically, and they got shouted at so much by the general public that they stopped. But that's a hard sort of no one forgets. So I don't know. Like I think it's possible anywhere, and in any scenario, someone can be censored. This is kind of like an easy button to be censored on the with Tether or USDC, for example. But yeah, I don't know what does it mean. I think everyone's just got to live with it, and that's a kind of risk you take with any kind of money, right? Anyone can censor stuff. I mean, physical cash, I guess no, but what's a lot harder.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
I
get you. It's a big question, right? It's a really big question. Everyone talks about decentralization, but if it is blockable, it is censorable.
Like
I get that you've got to, if there's clear evidence of, nefarious behavior, you'd think, well, it's good, but then at the same time, it's like, where does that line be drawn?
Exactly.
And
who's making these decisions?
Who's making these decisions, and how do you know? Yep. It's not like the whole Canadian envoy thing. Remember when the Canadian government was blocking banking to people participating in a democratic protest?
Yeah.
That to me, which is outrageous. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but the concept of that seems absolutely outrageous. That
absolutely. And this is we'll revisit this again a bit later when we start talking about this legislation stuff with that anti-CBDC rule coming in. But that's like really positive, sort of. That I actually didn't expect to get through, to be honest. But anyway.
We'll get into that next because that is the big news, I guess, this week. So, and I think Trump intervened personally to bring across some laggards because initially it went to the House, it got voted down, Trump intervened, got it through. So Genius and Clarity and the anti-CBDC bills all pass this week. It's pretty huge news because we've been talking about it for months now, and it's finally gone through, not after a bit of political argy-bargy, but it's gone through. And what does this all mean?
Yeah, you're right. We've been talking about this for a long time, but it's massive news. So to have the first basically pro-crypto legislation ever come in, and it's all the stuff we kind of hoped for. They sort of threw 3 darts at this wall, and all 3 stuck, which is great. So the 3 bills that got in were the Genius bill. Genius was sort of competing in a way with I think it's called the Stable bill. Genius one kind of always had a bit of a head start on the Stable bill, so it was more likely to get through, and it ended up being the one getting through. I guess that means that's the end of the Stable bill. I don't think they bother because they're too similar. The second bill, and sorry, so for those who don't know, the Genius bill was specifically around how to issue and regulate stablecoins. So it has very specific rules around how US entities can do it, which is great for Circle and USDC because obviously these guys have been campaigning for this kind of stuff for a long time. For Tether, it's probably not as good news because they're obviously not based in the US, but they seem to be everywhere with this thing. Like they were at the signing. They were, they're always present. They're always like tweeting about how awesome it is, and so I can only assume that there's something else going on here, and they've figured out how to be a part of this new legislation such that they can issue coins or deal with the American public. Like so the US Treasury guy, the Cantor Fitzgerald guy, I can't remember his name now, but he's got a lot of money, runs this incredibly profitable company, and he's now part of the US government in some form. No. It's going to annoy me. Anyway, Cantor Fitzgerald famously is basically in bed with Tether. So
right.
So there's clearly some very strong links there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like what else happens? What else have I written down here? Oh yeah, so that was the first bill, the Genius bill for stablecoins. The second one was the Clarity bill. This is the one which is sort of a more broader. How does crypto fit into the legal regulatory framework? It sort of goes into lengths about how crypto is classified. So previously, the SEC kind of wanted to take control of all crypto and manage it all as a security because that's what they do. They do securities. The CFTC is this sort of the other side, the commodities regulator. And this Clarity bill kind of sets down rules about what goes to which regulatory body, which is great because there's no more random SEC just going, you know what, that's mine, and taking people to court and famously losing constantly, which is always fun for the rest of us, but not fun for the guys getting sued, even if you win.
Yeah.
And the third bill, which is what we kind of talked about a bit earlier, is the anti-CBDC rule act. And I don't think it's got a cool name like Clarity or Stable. It's like HR 214-1 or something like that. But this was the one that I kind of didn't expect to get in because this is really one that's good for the people and not good for the government. And so I was always cynically thinking, oh, well, it's nice that they raised it, but it'll never actually get through. I think this one was raised back in 2023 or something like that. So it's been around for quite a while. And it basically says, the government cannot issue a CBDC. For those who don't know, CBDC is a central CB. I don't know. Basically, it's a government-issued coin. Can't remember what the acronym stands for now. Digital currency, something digital, central something digital currency. And the idea here is, well, the fear here is that if the government is issuing a centralized coin that's electronic and on-chain and can be directly monitored 100% of the time by computers kind of thing, what's that going to mean for society?
Leads to some form of government overreach.
Exactly. There's going to be all this monitoring and surveillance and stuff that people don't, really want.
Seems like the kind of thing the EU would do.
Yeah, I don't know if they've got it's okay. I'm not going to touch that one. So the EU have the MiCA rules with the cryptocurrencies and the stable coins, and famously Tether have left the EU basically because they're like, you know what, we can't run under these legislations. They're too ridiculous, too tight, too controlling. But it sounds like the US have come up with a bit more reasonable legislation around it.
The EU in general just seems so much more dismissive of crypto in general. There was, I don't know, was this like the lead economist or one of these dudes who wrote a paper on Bitcoin back in 2022 saying it was dead and this is the end of it, and classic case of Bitcoin's dead. But it was all the arguments, this is the top chief economist and all the reasons it couldn't succeed.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Well,
across the board.
But Germany listened to that guy, right?
Germany
sold the bottom.
They
sold
the
so
bottom.
many Bitcoins.
Come
they
on,
just
Germany.
held on to it for like a year. Anyway.
Well, you had more Bitcoin at 1.2, didn't you? And you thought you could sell the bottom and the top?
Oh yeah, I was a crazy trader back in the day.
Thanks,
I had no idea what I was doing.
Anyway. That was only a slight dig.
That's all right. Your bags are all down, so I can't complain if I lost a few Bitcoin back in 2016 or something.
So did you sell all your Bitcoin at the same time you were telling me to buy Ohm, just so you could drag me down with you?
No. By the time Ohm came around, I'd already made a decision never to sell Bitcoin again.
Okay,
so I was safe.
All right. Oh man, I've got to stop talking about Ohm. Just licking my wounds here. All right, so the next news we have is from the Financial Times talking about Trump eyeing access to crypto investments for the 401k. So the 401k is, I guess, the US's version of superannuation. And right now, you kind of have to go through a bunch of managed funds and platforms, and things can be in and things can't be out. And so I guess things like strategy have probably been a direct beneficiary. The ETFs certainly have been. But Trump is talking about allowing direct access into crypto. So that's a huge amount of... okay, so here's the news from Financial Times. Trump plans executive order to let retirement accounts include crypto, metal, and funds. The crypto bit that we're specifically interested in. This would open up a $9 trillion in US terms market digital assets.
Yeah, so there's some pretty fancy numbers getting thrown around in this post. This proposed act isn't in. The insiders reckon it's going to, it's a matter of weeks before this gets approved. We'll see, I guess. I guess I want to sort of throw a bit of water on this and temper down expectations because...
So far.
No? Okay. Oh, mate, 9 trillion. Can you imagine what that does to the market cap? Bitcoin's worth
Pump it up.
I don't know, 240K or something if that just all gets dumped. Anyway, none of that's going to happen.
Billions and billions.
Yeah, none of that's going to happen because... So the way that superannuation works in the US is a bit different to here. Here we've got a high percentage of SMSF superannuation, that's, people want to manage their own superannuation through the SMSF vehicle. In the US, it doesn't really happen like that. So there is a pathway to do that. but it's much, much, much less. So I think there's something like 24 or 25% penetration of SMSFs in Australia. In the US, doing it on your own, doing a self-directed 401k is like 4 or 5% or something. It's much less.
Not done, really.
Even though the numbers are bigger, the percentage is much, much less. So what this ruling is supposedly going to allow is the managed superannuation. So the 401k managed funds that actually runs people's 401k for the rest of the 95% of people, they are now able to buy things like crypto, gold, more speculative, riskier assets, I guess. The reality of what's going to happen though is that there's going to be almost no uptake because these, at least initially, because these funds, their purview is to manage their customers, the clients' money in a sensible way. They've got these fiduciary obligations around how to do that. And so they're not just going to suddenly go, tip it all into Bitcoin or into Solana as much as they wish they would. They have to do it in the right way. So they'll slowly, work their way up, and maybe eventually in a few years there'll be like, a 1% allocation or something like that. But it's still great. It's still a huge market to tap. But I think this is sort of maybe next cycle we might see the results of this. I doubt we're going to see too much at the moment.
Interesting. Okay. Again, it's always, I guess...
This will be a sell and use event.
Sell and use event.
Yeah. When this actually gets in, it's going to be a pump, and then we sell and use.
I do like to see news like this because...
Not financial advice.
It does at least always talk to the growing adoption in general. And so often, I mean, we don't see it so much now. 2021 earlier, remember the old, there's all the old anti-Bitcoin memes like, governments will just burn it, or it'll die. All these go-to sort of quips, I guess, that people used to come up with to say, hey, these are the reasons why I don't have to pay attention, basically, or I don't have to look at it because it hurts my brain, whatever. Or they look at it at a point in time and say, well, it's not everything you promised this utopia. Oh, that's the wrong word. It's not everything, all the mania doesn't quite fit the current presentation of this, this whole scene, right? I'm not articulating that super well, but the bit that I always like to point at is the trajectory. And so when you see these changes on aggregate and you go, well, they're all leading to one thing, which is a mainstream adoption of something that we've said. You can either pay attention or you can continue to ignore it. But like I said, the trend is entirely one way. It's not like we're seeing more and more managers of 401ks come out and go, we will never, ever, ever. In fact, we're taking off Bitcoin. We're taking off, you know what I mean?
No, 100%. This is sort of the momentum builder that I think it's a slow burn for this one particularly. There are other ones that are going to be much more explosive for Bitcoin and crypto, but this one is like a slow momentum builder. But again, opening up the doors to a huge industry. So, and as the boomers die out, and
I thought you were going to say as the boomers adopted, but we're just going straight to dying out.
As they get on their way and they're less. Although having said that, there was a stat last week about how the boomers are really pumping it at the moment. They're finally paying attention. But yeah, as the older generation who is more I guess nervous around asset like vehicles like Bitcoin sort of start going away. Maybe they're dying. They're just just going to the farm. We don't see them anymore. As a younger generation comes up who are much more crypto native, who have just always lived with this kind of stuff. It's not new to them. It's not scary because it's day to day for them. That's that's going to be where these these 401k kind of management places sit there and go, okay, we've got to listen to what our customers want. They want to be invested in digital assets. So
I would love to see the stats. So I guess the boomers kind of roughly went from 1945 to what? 1965-ish, around that time, something like that. Right. And I know that when you look at the demographics, the reality is that the boomers, I mean, partly because of things that happened during their lifetime, you could kind of map it, right? You could see that wherever the boomers went, things just kind of, because just of the demographics, the sheer number of them, the demand for various things that they demanded at a certain time. Like, for example, at first it was when housing, after, education was free, they went through, everyone's kind of like, holy shit, we can't afford this because there's too many people we're handing out free educations to. And then housing is kind of like, oh shit, they got it not for free, but they're less expensive. And then, they had demand for housing, bam. Everything housing exploded, right? Same thing happened, retirement services, financial services, they all started building wealth. Bam, financial services became the thing. They had gone through, once they all started retiring, Things like caravan homes went through a boom cycle. Now, nursing home, retirement facilities are going through kind of that same thing, just purely because of demographics. You know what I'm saying?
This huge group of people just
this
moving
huge
through
group
life.
of people moving through life, and industries around them kind of fall and peter out because of just the demographics, just the sheer number. No one lives forever, and the boomers are now getting into their 80s. So statistically, we're going to see.
So that whole chat was just telling me that my parents are going to die. Is that what's happened?
I feel like you knew that already.
Yeah, but you really just laid it out for me. Like first they buy a house. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess they bought a house. And then,
you know what's sad, Nick? You and I will die too one day.
No, I'm not going to die. I figured this out. I'm going to reach escape velocity. I'm going to upload my consciousness into the machine.
Oh, actually, well, we had Elise Sue on in the podcast one time, and she talked. Transhumanism is her kind of like shtick.
Yeah, she's a bit early. Like we need maybe 10, 20
Probably
years.
need a few more years, but maybe I'll live forever. I don't know if I want to, but look, that's a whole nother topic.
What? Because I'm living forever, or just in general? You wouldn't want to be around forever if I'm there.
You do, you Nick. Yeah. You want to live forever. You live forever. I can't stop you.
Good. I know.
Or maybe I will. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, that's right. We're talking about the boomers. Anyway, so the one thing that the boomers have not penetrated just yet.
God.
Dirty minds. One industry they have not corrupted.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, boomers out there. No. I'm taking that all back. One area, like just from the, we do the crypto index each year. And that demographic, so the 65 plus demographic just has not touched crypto. Their adoption rate is like 2% or something. Yeah, okay. But they have a vast majority of the wealth. There's a lot of retirement wealth that sits with the boomers, right? If you think about people who are 65 plus now, they have way more money as percentage of probably the rest of the population.
Yeah.
I'm kind of making that up a bit. It kind of stands to reason. Like people in the retirement have the most capital, least debt, most capital they need to live on. And eventually that capital will pass on unless they upload their wealth with their consciousness.
Yeah. How are they going to do that? It has to be Bitcoin.
Well, it's digital. I guess they just engrave their consciousness into their digital money. I don't know.
It's under your mattress. You can't upload that. You got to digitize it somehow.
I should tell. Oh, that takes me on. I shouldn't. That's going to take me on a whole other tangent. Yeah, socking your cash around the house. But that is a huge amount of money that's currently sitting. You think about the pools of money in 401ks, pool of money that's sitting in superannuation. A lot of that belongs to the boomers, which have not as yet touched crypto, broadly speaking.
Yes.
But, unfortunately, to break the news, yes, they probably die, and they will give it to people roughly your age or younger. And they will, I guess that's when we'll start seeing a lot more, adoption. Sorry, that's the wrong word. A lot more potential funds flowing into this whole new sector, right?
Yeah. Are the boomers spending their retirement money?
Yeah, but it depends on how wealthy they are. Depends on how wealthy they are, because if they're like growing it beyond what they're spending it, I mean, look, I don't know the exact calculus, but I suspect that there'll be a lot of boomers as they pass away. There'll be a big wealth transfer. I think that's broadly accepted.
And en masse, these guys aren't really into crypto, but the younger generation are. So you don't even have to worry about if it's getting spent or not, because the money flows down. This is like
the money flows down
economics, right?
Yep.
And it'll eventually hit the degens at the bottom who pump it into like fart coin or whatever.
I was talking to someone today who put in. I was making a comment about how like people put money into fart coin. Fart coin's been on a tear. It has been. It's been doing. It's been performing exceptionally well, and and I was like, oh yeah, but surely no one ever like on individually on aggregate. Obviously, a lot's been put into it, but individually, it's only been like I don't know. No one puts in more than a couple grand. And someone told me, I can't mention who. They were like, I put in 30 grand US. I was like, congratulations. That's quite a bet on fart coin.
Yeah. I mean, like, so the latest coin that I've bought is called Useless.
What?
Yeah, literally useless.
What does it do?
That it does absolutely nothing, and it's not shy about pretending. I mean, yeah, and it's always obviously just like I'm an in and out kind of. This is not generational wealth, but it's just a bit of fun. Useless, anyway.
That really sells crypto.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So for everyone out there listening and thinking about maybe dabbling in their first buy of crypto, well, first of all, don't listen to us because we're not providing financial advice.
No,
but then
we don't know what we're doing.
Useless.
Clearly, I'm buying a useless coin.
Did you buy it?
Yeah.
A giant bag?
No, like $1,000 or something.
Oh, gotcha.
And you know what? I didn't. It's not like new money I put in. I gathered up some of my old crappy altcoins that I was like, these are definitely going nowhere, and just turned them into useless. Made them useless. Yeah.
Oh, we have. I don't even know where we got onto this topic, but anyway, we've got to move along.
What do we have
Because we still have a lot of news to get through, and could be in for a marathon session today. All right. So Japan considers crypto tax reform after election shift. This is from the Nikkei. So opposition pushing for a tax cut from 55% to 20%, a flat rate, and the LDP, which is the Liberal Democratic Party, which is. I've done a little bit of Japanese politics. I know the LDP has been in power for a long, long time. The coalition lost majority for the first time since 1955. There you go. I should have read the whole sentence before throwing in my random factoid.
Well, at least you got it
At least I
right.
got it right.
They're like, they lost last year. I'm like, oh,
The LDP just showed up. Imagine if I had said that. What an idiot. And Japan remains the 5th largest crypto market despite higher taxes. We've known the Japanese love crypto for some time. I've got sort of roots into it. Mount Gox being a famous
big
Japanese
time.
exchange.
Yeah, the very first.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, first of all, why does Japan love crypto? I guess the tax is overall a good thing. That's pretty self-explanatory.
It's a great question. Like, so the guy who set up Mount Gox, for those of you who don't know, Mount Gox back in like 2010, 2011, I think, was one of the very first, in fact, I'm pretty sure was the first Bitcoin exchange. Bitcoin was the only crypto back then. It ran out of Japan. There was a guy called Mark Capellis who was the owner of it. Mount Gox is MTG and then EX at the end for exchange. So MTG originally was Magic the Gathering. If there's other old people
Online
who might be out
exchange.
there who remember the game Magic the Gathering, it's like a card game. There was an exchange for these cards. Mark Capellis bought Mount Gox because he's like, I need an exchange. I want to do this Bitcoin thing, and he bought Mount Gox because that went nowhere. Magic the Gathering apparently. And he turned it into a Bitcoin exchange.
You've just made 1,000 enemies online because there'd be a whole bunch of Magic Gathering fans out there.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, everyone remembers it, I guess. I never actually played it, but is it still around?
I think it still is.
Yeah.
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 People used to get around, and I remember guys I used to work with years and years ago. They'd gather at the pub on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, right.
They'd all go down and they'd play Magic the Gathering till like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Everyone around
nice.
them's getting sloshed, and they'd just be there, just sipping away, playing cards.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
Attack.
yeah.
I have no idea how it works though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone's got their thing. And that's fine. Yeah, so this guy turned it into, but for some reason he did it in Japan. I don't know why that is. I think he's French. So, geographically not that close, not very close at all, really. Other side of Asia. And yeah, and so why it turned up in Japan, maybe there was at the time some, interesting regulation that gave him a loophole or something. Don't know, maybe it was the only exchange that he could find. Yeah, we should probably do some more research on this. But yeah, so with Japan's thing, it is interesting. The current taxation of crypto, the 55% that exists at present time, is sort of in this like miscellaneous income or something, and crypto just gets lumped into that, which gets taxed at 55%. And so the opposition here is looking pretty good because, as you say, the incumbents are potentially about to get kicked out. And they're suggesting that it gets actually regulated under its own little tax bracket. So there's tax reform they're proposing, which is cool. What I thought was interesting is that it's not 20%, it's like 20.1358% or something like that.
20.3315%, yeah.
Yeah, like why? Anyway, there must be some specific reason why they've chosen such a very specific percentage. But yeah, I don't know, it's cool. I mean, there's not much to talk about this one. I think if it gets in, great. Good, like Japanese investors are going to be be loving it. I'd love to see something like that in Australia. That'd be cool. We've really had no chat about anything like that. All we've had chat about is the SMSFs getting taxed for unrealised gains over $3 million, which does my head in.
Increase.
Yeah.
Well, just the principle of it all. Like
Yeah, it's the principle.
You
Like
haven't made money, but we're going to take it from you now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We'll wade now into one of your favourite topics, because the ETH Whisperer is about to speak again. Ethereum devs confirm Fusaka upgrade timeline, gas limits raised. So Fusaka upgrade targeting November. No, you know what?
Yeah,
we went through this before.
Yeah, so Fusaka, we did talk about it a couple of weeks ago. I think everyone's really excited because that's finally catching a bid. Everyone's excited about Ethereum again. Make Ethereum great again. You know,
Everything is just good news, even if you don't understand what it
all
means.
the devs that stuck around and didn't leave are like going. You know, they look so good right now. No, for Saka, I don't know. It's the next hard fork. There's not much to talk about the upgrade. It's all very kind of under the hood technical improvements here and there. No sort of big flashy headliners,
Yep.
but
Well, I don't think
Yeah.
it'll make. There's some technical improvements for the average ETH enjoyer. Will they?
no, not really. Like it'll just make, you know, it's going to increase throughput and scalability here and there, and it's going to make, you know, some parts of it a little bit more efficient, and you know, so it's all sort of prepare, you know, more paving the way kind of updates for future improvements. But you know, it's like these things. You know, if Ethereum decided, oh, we don't have enough developers at the moment to do any upgrades, that's not good. The fact that these things are kind of regularly rolling out, they're already preparing the next one called Glamsterdam or something like that. You know, this is all good news for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
They're doing good stuff.
If you come out with good name, I think it's all in the good name. For Saka doesn't mean anything, but Glamsterdam's
Glamsterdam,
it's
yeah.
got me interested.
The anti-MEV technology is pretty cool to stop front running on DeFi apps.
Are you talking about the Solana upgrade?
No, ETH? Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's
Yeah, you're talking about Solana. So Solana have proposed, you know, not to get overshadowed by all the ETH love at the moment. Solana, which actually has been pumping today, it's doing pretty well. Yeah, Solana have got they've got like a Jitto application sort of block producer thing, and these guys have been working on their new version called BAM, which is like block assembly management or something like that. Anyway, one of the advantages of this thing is it should hopefully prevent the sandwiching attack front running MEV, the toxic MEV that kind of can happen on any chain, any complicated chain. Doesn't really happen on Bitcoin so much because it's too simple, but all these fancy chains like Solana, where you can have smart contracts doing very specific things, bad actors or just, you know, entrepreneurial people can find ways to profit off that. And the Solana thing should sort of hide a bit more of that kind of stuff. So it's harder for these front runners or these like MEV exploiters to take advantage of it. It's a good thing. And there's other advantages to this Solana thing as well. But yeah, we'll see. It's just a proposal at the moment there. And it's not a core update. This is kind of just like one of the clients has got this thing. And a lot of the traffic runs through this kind of client, this Jitto client. But yeah.
Yep.
They're also making moves. Good thing. You know, it's the ecosystem's still doing its thing. Can't complain.
All steam ahead. All right, from Bloomberg, the obligatory update for the ETH and Bitcoin ETFs, both pumping. So ETH ETFs have been absolutely in vogue. That's because everyone has listened to you. They're up
right.
2.1 billion.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a week.
Yeah. So this is a wild
Well, that's just
number.
ETH, and that's well, Bitcoin could continue to do 2.4.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Bitcoin have always been in the billions, like the weekly billion numbers, and ETH has always lagged behind. They've sort of been, you know, if they're not negative numbers, which is probably mostly a factor of the Grayscale ETH fund unwinding, they've been in the like hundreds of millions at best kind of thing.
Crazy.
And now they've done 2.1 billion. Like that blew my mind, that stat. I couldn't believe it. And you know, Bitcoin has done more still because Saylor just won't stop.
Absolute
Can't stop,
roaring
won't
trade.
stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the other guys who are just getting started, like on this Ethereum treasury thing, and obviously I'm guessing most of these treasury companies are just using the ETF to get exposure. It's just crazy. The number is just blown up. It's amazing. Anyway, so the other thing that's happening here is the BlackRock has filed for an Ether ETF, a staked Ether ETF. Now, there's already a bunch of other companies that have proposed a staked Ether ETF that are kind of in, you know, consultation with the SEC to find out if they can do it. But when BlackRock does something, you pay attention.
Yeah,
right? 'Cause
absolutely.
those guys just the track record's incredible for
So
this stuff.
if am I correct? So I've read that now the Bitcoin ETF is now BlackRock's largest ETF. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that is also that. I
And,
think
and
that happened
Ethereum's
last
the number
week, though,
5. So it's not like
No. So BlackRock is number 1. Ethereum is only number 5 as per this inflow. But the Bitcoin one's been number 1 for
Gotcha.
like a while now, and that's
Mind
also
blowing.
mind blowing. Like
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
all the ETFs, all the traditional finance stuff, all of the things that these BlackRock guys do, and Bitcoin's just eclipsing it. It's just amazing. Like
I remember
if
all
that's
the
not bullish, I don't
it's
know what is.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's great. I remember all the haters on, you know, I don't know why, But I can't help myself. Like you go on X, you got your burner account. You have to go and you have to go and troll all the people who don't like crypto. You have to. I mean, that's your job. That's
How
what
much you get paid?
I don't, not as much. No, I get paid in.
paid in Ohm.
We paid in. Yeah, I do it for the love of the job. And you know, it was funny the amount of people who were hating on crypto were like, Bitcoin ETFs, it will never happen, never happen. They're adamant about it. Like the real, these people have just decided Bitcoin's going to be the hill they're going to die on instead of like just refuse to accept that maybe it's going to be around. Yeah, well, I guess time will tell. Maybe they'll be right. But like, you know what I mean? And anything that's mildly pro Bitcoin, they're just like, well, this just can't, they can never change their view or go, okay, look, maybe I was wrong about it. Maybe it's not as good as you think it is, but it's also, okay, it's a real thing. Like just refuse point blank to believe that anyone will accept it.
Yeah.
Right. And all these accounts were like, ETFs will never happen. Now, admin about it. Mark this tweet, right?
Yeah, remind me when.
Someone has to go and remind them. But also as well, like even on the days when it first started, I still remember all these tweets like, oh, what a flop, because it wasn't immediately,
I do remember that.
Do you remember all that?
I forgot about how it, because all my memory is like this thing just like.
No, because it didn't when it first came out.
Yeah, you're right.
It kind of sucked a bit for a while because they launched,
it's like early in the year, people are still on holidays,
Yeah,
I remember it was like in January or something that it came out.
Everyone's kind of like, and the Bitcoin price kind of tanked. It was a kind of definitely buy the rumor, sell the fat kind of thing. And then now it's, look at here, number one.
Yeah,
Just incredible.
Just amazing, absolutely amazing.
All right, we've got to keep moving on. So Australia deepens crypto adoption. This is according to the Australian Financial Review. So here we go. Digilex, we know the team at Digilex. They raised 20 million and increased BTC holdings to 425 Bitcoin. And Block Owner, again, some friends of ours, they launched the country's first, I don't know if it's technically the first, but definitely one of the first Bitcoin-backed mortgages. And over 100 million in loans issued during the soft launch. So well done, Block Owner, Charlie, and the guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is sort of, I guess we've spoken about like Locate Technologies previous weeks, who are doing like the Sailor strategy. Digital-X seem to be doing the same thing. They're like a digital fund front and foremost, so I think they've probably got a head start in that aspect. Whereas Locate has got a whole other business model where it's generating profits and whatever. But yeah, it's good to see like other companies getting on board. It's good for my bags. Sorry, I know it's not really great for the Ohm ecosystem, but yeah, no, it's good. And what was the other thing? Oh, Block Owner. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. So this is a first for Australia because Block Owner got taken to the federal court by ASIC because they were like, this is a managed investment sort of vehicle.
That wasn't for their loan product, was it?
Yeah, it was for the loan product.
Okay.
And the federal court agreed, and so they were like, "Oh man!" So they were like, "But wait a minute, what if we try again?" So they went to like
that's right,
the full federal court, and the full federal court unanimously said, "No, that's just a loan. It's not a managed investment."
That's right. Yes, yes.
You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Oh hell yeah!" And now they basically they fought the law and they won, and sorry, the quote goes, they fought the law and the law won, but that's not what happened.
The law did not win.
Yeah, they won, and so yeah, now they've got this awesome product where you can use your crypto, and I don't want to sit there and spruik their product because it's not us, but it's if you got Bitcoin, you want to get a loan out. Well, there's a way to do that now.
No, congrats to Charlie and James over there at the team. I don't know if you're watching, but good job. And, they've had to go through it. And the ASIC case was kind of odd. I remember speaking when the results first came out. He was speaking with Hannah Glass. So she's been on the podcast a couple of times too. And she was kind of made a point, which is kind of like, when it came to ASIC, and this is in the kind of at the same time the US and the US was doing this kind of regulation by enforcement. And it kind of had a vibe. I'm not a lawyer, but you kind of got the sense that maybe even ASIC were just kind of going, well, here's some cases, we don't have laws on it, let's kind of just throw out a court case or throw out a legal challenge and just see if it sticks, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of had that vibe because when you looked at it and said, well, look, here's the allegations, and it went to court and all that kind of stuff. But when you kind of look at the victims, it was kind of like there wasn't any victims. The product had worked and everyone who was using it was kind of happy with it, but I guess they were testing the boundaries of the law because there was not anyone who'd kind of been, what's the word? Victim to hurt. No one had been hurt by it.
Yeah, but I mean, this is how it works, right? Like, their purview is to protect the public from,
of course, people who
and
aren't
so
following the law.
and these guys who, like, they're boomers, right? Who don't understand what crypto is and its value. Assume they're going, well, people are going to definitely get hurt by this, so we're going to get in front of it. Because if they don't get in front of it, imagine it is a whole Ponzi scheme, I suppose. And then people do get hurt, and then they're like, well, why didn't you stop it?
Sure.
Like, so I can kind of see what they're doing, but like, you know, enforcement through court cases is just not good for anyone, if you ask me, because you're putting these companies who are, I'm going to say most of the time, trying to do the right thing through the ringer, like having to spend all of this money fighting this thing in court. And then, you know, like with Block Owner, they're sitting there, they've lost the case, and they've got to actively decide, well, now we've got to go out and contest this, like, you know, appeal against this ruling. Like, that's so risky. You're just going to waste a whole bunch of money and get nowhere. So I feel sorry for these companies who have to go up against that kind of stuff, but hopefully we're beyond that. Like,
I'd like to be.
We're on the other side of that now.
Look, I totally take your point. I think, ASIC's job is certainly to enforce the rules as they see them, and they got to do, if they see someone who they think is breaking the law, you know, they've got to do what they've got to do. It's just, I guess the shame in it is that if we had overall clear laws and regulations on this, it wouldn't have needed to come to that.
Yes.
And that's not ASIC's fault, and that's not the industry's fault. That's, I guess, a collective.
That's Treasury. Like, that's the guys who make this legislation.
It's whoever's.
They've got to be coming out with these rules so that we can be governed by it, rather than ASIC going, well, we don't know what to do, so we're going to assume that crypto is exactly the same as you know, penny stocks or whatever it is, and govern you in that way. Yeah,
100%. It's just one of these unfortunate situations, I guess, and but all the same, it's great to see Charlie and the boys doing really well, and you know, congrats. All right, moving along. So South Korea's XRP craze and regulatory pivot from the Yonhap News. I didn't know that South Korea had an XRP craze. Is that partly responsible for the trading volumes? Creating the kimchi premium in XRP. So XRP trading volumes led on Upbit. Have been led on Upbit, sorry, and that's a large Korean exchange. And the government has proposed letting crypto firms register as venture companies. Right, I don't know why I read that. That's just going to be confusing. All right, okay, we've got to take this back a step.
Yeah. So I guess, for those who don't know, there's this thing called the kimchi premium, which is basically where exchanges. So in Korea, there's only like, I think 4 or 5 exchanges. And
there's only 4 or 5 exchanges. But the thing is, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, but my understanding is the reason for the premium is that because there's only 4 exchanges and it's really difficult to trade there, you can't actually withdraw.
It's not because of the 4 or 5 exchanges.
You can't withdraw the crypto you can only withdraw in fiat. And as a result, you can't actually take the Bitcoin off to arbitrage these. Yeah, so that's part of it. So there's definitely the 4 or 5 exchanges which are heavily regulated and all sort of, I don't think you can even start a new exchange there now. It's sort of the government is like, you know what, we've got enough. Like 4 or 5 is whatever the number is that's enough. And one of the issues is, the withdrawing off the exchange is difficult. The main reason for the kimchi premium, which is basically describing this phenomenon where in Korea, the price of Bitcoin historically has always had this premium versus the rest of the world. So I think like back in April last year, it was up to 20%. Generally, it hovers between 10 and 20%. If you look back to sort of the bull market in early 2020s, I think it was up to like 50% or something. It's huge, right? Like that's a big number. Like, and any arbitrager is salivating at those numbers, right? Because normally you're sort of looking at a percent or 2 at best kind of thing. But the problem is it's not just getting the Bitcoin off the exchanges, but getting the money. So to arbitrage this, basically you would buy Bitcoin on Coinbase for whatever, or where independent reserve, and at the normal price, at the generally accepted global price, and then you would send the Bitcoin to a Korean exchange and sell it, and then you would withdraw your money back to independent reserve in some fashion, and then buy it again, and you just do this cycle where you're buying for low and selling for high because of this premium. But getting the money out of Korea is very difficult. They've got all these capital controls. They're very tightly because of North Korea and stuff.
Yeah, they very tightly control their currency, and so that's why one of the main reasons why this kimchi premium exists. However, at the moment there's a kimchi discount. It's not a premium anymore. So for Bitcoin, that is. For XRP, yeah, there's this crazy premium because I don't know, for some reason, maybe Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, did a tour, waved at a few people and kissed some babies, and everyone wants some XRP. I'm not sure why specifically the XRP premium happens, but this is you can kind of look at this almost as a forward-leading indicator where, when the premium exists, you're like, okay, it's like something's happening.
Something's happening.
So at the moment, there's this negative premium at the moment for Bitcoin specifically. And it's because of the same reasons, right? Like to fix that premium or to fix the discount, you need to be able to cycle money, and it's just difficult to cycle money with the Korean exchanges or with the Korean currency. So yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Oh, and I guess another little history lesson. For those of you guys who remember SBF from FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried,
he made his money like arbitraging.
Originally, Alameda Research, the thing that he started with FTX. That was their big thing. They had the secret sauce, so no one else could arbitrage this thing because it's just too difficult. But they had all these ins in the Korean, places and banks and exchanges, and they could figure out this cycle and they could do it. And so they made a whole bunch of money doing these big trades.
That's how he's made his money to start.
Yeah.
Yep. That's well, good history today. Hong Kong stablecoin and ETF boom. So yeah, again, we know that Hong Kong passed some legislation recently, and as a result, we've seen 40 plus firms who've applied for stablecoin licenses in Hong Kong. So the regulatory clarity providing, unsurprisingly, I guess, interest in people wanting to do business there. So for anyone in Australia listening that can propose regulations, there you go. Standard Chartered and Animoca brands are amongst those that have applied. So yeah, things are going well.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about the Hong Kong stuff previously as well. So this is just continuation. I think last time we talked about how China was, like Hong Kong is this sort of test bed for a lot of Chinese things, including their sort of financial systems. Hong Kong have been allowed to do various things in crypto, and this is just playing out at the moment. We're watching it in real time. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it gets shut down immediately. As long as no one gets hurt, hopefully they're okay with it, and it becomes a cool corridor for a bunch of, like suddenly, we talked before about the US and opening up their 401k balances, the 13 or 9 trillion US dollars. Well, maybe this helps open up the Chinese money to crypto, because at the moment it's like outright banned in China, so they can't really do much. But they find a way, and maybe Hong Kong is the legal way to do it.
Watch this space. All right, last two articles. We've run our full allocation today. Probably because of all the history lessons, Nick.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. We've learned something today. The SEC is exploring innovation exemptions for tokenization. So this probably surprises no one. So this is from an SEC publication. So quick headline recap. SEC may allow limited exemptions to support tokenized securities ecosystem, which I guess means kind of tokenizing shares and the like.
Yeah, whatever.
Also, I guess, it'd be really cool if the SEC allowed people to sort of tokenize, I guess, like equity offers and things like that in like startups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and apply heaps of leverage. No, I don't know. Yeah,
for unlisted markets, I reckon. Yeah. But they aiming to enable new forms of trading while ensuring compliance and seen as a regulatory unlock for DeFi and tokenization projects.
Yeah, I've got not much to add on this one. It seems sort of SEC have really sort of done a full 180 with their thoughts on crypto and how it can be used in the broader environment. Under Gensler, it was all very like we talked about before. They're getting people getting sued and companies getting sued because the SEC didn't know what to do, so they thought they could lean on people with their big muscles. And now the SEC seem to really be sort of going, okay, how can we use this? How can we use this industry for something different? So they've made a little window for people to play in the sandpit and hopefully something good comes of it and no one gets scammed, and then maybe we'll see some broader adoption.
It's crazy. The US, Amanda Wicks comes across to Australia, involved in a bunch of stuff, and she's been involved in the policy side. She's an ex-regulator from the US. I remember her using an analogy of describing the US as like, a giant cruise ship trying to turn in like a narrow strait or something. It's just a big, heavy thing. Turning takes a long time. It's just hard to, it's not nimble, right? It's this big thing that requires just a lot of effort to change direction. Yep. Yet, despite all that, since Trump has come in, whatever you think of him, they have just like flipped that thing around in a matter of months. So maybe that analogy doesn't hold.
Yeah.
Or maybe just these big ships are more nimble than you think. But either way, like it's incredible that the US has gone from full anti-crypto to under Trump, really like adopting it, backing what they said they were going to do. Yet somehow smaller jurisdictions like us, which, if that analogy held, we're not as big a ship to turn. Yet somehow we're more resistant to change. Make it make sense.
No, it's a good point. I don't really have much. I don't know. I think you're right. The analogy kind of falls over at this point because how do you explain their nimbleness? And really, I guess Trump is just good at whipping people into place. And I was going to say before, I kind of got waylaid, but with the regulation stuff we talked about earlier, the Genius Act and clarity and whatnot. If you remember, Trump's sort of thing was get this on my desk by August. I want this. I want to sign this thing in August. And here we are, like over a week before August, and it's been done. So as you say, it doesn't matter what you think of him. Like I thought that was pretty impressive because usually Trump says something and then you like take it with a grain of salt.
It's happened.
But this happened early. Like I was blown away.
It's just they all got together and worked it out. Like at least from an outsider's perspective, it seems that the US cannot agree. Like the two parties wouldn't agree on anything. Yet somehow they managed to get this done.
Yeah, so it's funny actually with those. You know what? Let's not get into that. We're running over time too much.
All right,
we'll move on.
Last one, I promise. So Standard Chartered launches Bitcoin and ETH trading. So Standard Chartered, which is a large bank, particularly in Asia, first global systematically important bank to offer BTC and ETH to institutions. That's a great thing. Services live via the UK branch, and seen as a major milestone for crypto integration, which it clearly is.
Yeah, Standard Chartered have for a long time been quite interested in crypto, which is
definitely.
From our perspective, it's great to see. They're one of the major banks that sort of underpin a lot of the crypto fiat rails in the system, even though people probably don't even know it. They provide crypto, like fiat services to a lot of crypto, big crypto companies out there. And so this kind of didn't surprise me when I saw this come through. I was like, okay, fine. They're going beyond just providing, their TradFi services to the crypto companies. They're now going to try and dip their toes into actual crypto trading. Obviously, not good for independent reserve. Like if we're competing directly with them, we're not obviously in this kind of space because this will be, a different space that we operate in. But eventually, there'll be overlap, I assume. Yeah, and it's just generally positive for the industry. It's not like what's the classic where Bloomberg always, the second they open their trading desk, that's the top of the market. It's like happened 3 times in a row now, and then they just close it 2 months later. They're like, yeah, it didn't work. But hopefully it doesn't end up being something like that because that'd be a shame. I hope the bull market's not over. I'm pretty sure it's not, but yeah, hopefully it's not the kiss of death from Standard Chartered. As long as Bloomberg, don't try and do anything fancy, it'll be fine. Not Bloomberg. It's Bloomberg.
You mean it was Standard Chartered? Bloomberg was your example.
Bloomberg's the one that opens that trading desk, right?
Yeah, and then it blows up.
Yeah, cool.
So I don't think they're done yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully next week when we get back, and we have not been that consistent. Thank you, kids, for ruining our lives. But we will be back probably, most likely. We'll make our best full endeavours, whatever you want to call it. Next Tuesday we'll be back. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the history lesson. Thanks for the insights. We shall see everyone next Tuesday.